the Ron and Brian Podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It is 8 o'clock. And as always, it is time for the Ron and Brian podcast, episode 303. If I recall correctly, Brian, I know on your Instagram reel, you had a little confusion over what episode we were recording, but it is 303. How are you feeling tonight, my friend?
Did you actually think I was confused?
Were you playing up the camera?
You know how I roll. I'm doing great. This has been a fun week for me. I went to go see a concert outdoor. A little chilly, but it wasn't nowhere near as bad for this time of year.
Sure.
Saw a Yankees game. Was able to get the company tickets at a last moment notice. Apparently, somebody was not able to go, and they thought of me. And they said, "Hey, listen, do you want to go?" And I was
nice.
You know what? I think I do want to go. So I went to the game yesterday. Went to a concert up here in Westchester County, and now I get to close out the week by sitting here looking at you, talking to the masses. This is going to be a fun one. Ron, how are you enjoying Mother's Day 2024?
I mean, it's as good as can be expected. Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms out there. To your point, Brian, I am excited about getting to spend the next hour or so with you and with our listeners because we're just going to bang out an awesome episode. Let's just get it going. Without further ado, it's time for Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Pleasure.
Pause.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right, Brian, what are you drinking this week, sir?
This week we skip back across the pond and we go back to Curious Brew Lager. That's correct. The last British beer from my most recent trip, I think Christmas time. So this beer's been sitting there for a couple months. Yeah. So I'm hoping it's still good. But Ron, this is Curious Brew Lager. It's made with the finest English barley, brewed using champagne yeast. It's a premium lager of purity and freshness, brewed using Hallertau, I'm butchering the pronunciation, Hallertau Blanc, Galaxy, and Cascade hops. Here, let me put this up for you. Look at this. This is just beautiful. You can see right through this motherfucker. Hops and finest English malted barley. Then for a cleaner, fruitier, and more aromatic finish, it's re-fermented with the champagne yeast that I mentioned earlier and a dosage of a rare Nelson Sauvignon hops coming in at 4.7 ABV. This is Curious Brew Lager.
Have a sip. Let us know how it is, Governor.
No.
Not cutting it for you. Well, talk to us about why it's not a great beer. I mean, lagers typically should not sit for that long. I will tell you that much.
It's very dry. It
Okay.
probably is the champagne yeast. It's very dry, and it's got like a bitterness to it that I normally would not have expected. I don't know that the British really understand how to make a good beer. I know that they know how to build ships and
They know how to colonize. They know how to colonize the fuck out of places.
They know how to rape indigenous people of their natural resources. Let's face it, Ron, the British, they did the work.
Let me ask you something, Brian. Is that beer cold? Did you chill that beer?
Mm-hmm.
There's your problem.
I
believe they brew all of their beers to be served at a nice room temperature.
Okay, Ron. And if I was in an English pub, if I was, in London or Birmingham or Liverpool or Manchester, then I would say that I would be drinking the beer at whatever temperature they choose to serve it to me. But if I'm here in Casa de Perlicia, I'm drinking it cold. And
All
this is
right.
not a good beer. This is not, and I
All
still have another one to drink. So I'm going to slam this
right.
down as quickly as possible. Ron, can I ask you a
Yes,
question?
you sure can, my friend.
What are you drinking?
Another beer from our friends at Minocqua Brewing Company. I had their dark Brandon Espresso Stout a few weeks back. This is their Love Wins Pineapple Orange Fruited Sour Ale, clocking in at a respectable 5.7%. In early 2023, the Minocqua Brewing Company teamed up with Equality Vines, a cause-based wine portfolio, to make a series of wines dedicated to reproductive freedom called Choice. In their second collaboration, they reimagined one of the sparkling wine labels called Love Wins, which was made in the honor of the U.S. Supreme Court case that gave us marriage equality, Oberfell versus Hodges. Jim Oberfell, the named plaintiff in that case, is the co-founder of Equality Vines and both a speaker on LGBTQ plus equality and a civil rights activist. Proceeds from all sales benefit Family Equality, an organization that has spent more than 40 years ensuring that everyone has the freedom to find, form, and sustain their families by advancing equality for the LGBTQ plus community. But more importantly, does it taste good, Brian? Once again, this is a pineapple mango fruited sour ale.
Sounds good. Oh,
It's sour. It's
okay,
tasty.
walk me through this.
So it's very tasty. Don't get me wrong. It's very smooth. You get the pineapple, you get the mango, you get the sweetness, and then it's like sucking on a Sour Patch Kid. Like you get that tartness at the end that just ooh. So it's tasty, but you pay for it a little bit. Like I don't know that I could drink a lot of those in a sitting, but it's very tasty to just sit and have one.
So not crushable.
I would not say crushable, but tasty, and it goes towards a good cause, Brian. So how can you go wrong?
Absolutely. And let's face it, Ron, if you can, combat some of society's ills while at the same time drinking a beer, aren't you winning?
I'd like to think so.
I think so.
All right, Brian, let's keep it going. It's time to talk about our beefs of the week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
You go first. You're going first this week. Let's switch it up.
All
Let's
right.
switch it up. I want you to go first this week.
We'll switch it up a little bit, Brian. Brian, my beef this week is with the New York Knickerbockers, the NBA team currently in the playoffs against the Indiana Pacers, although you could not have told that from the game earlier today. As those of you out there know, Brian and I like to place a little wager on some professional sporting events from now and then, maybe some, 3 or 4 leg parlays that require equal performance from the teams. And Brian, as an experienced bettor, what is the one thing that can kill any parlay right away?
When a team is behind 30 points in the second
When it
quarter.
is a blowout, they were down 30 points at halftime, lost the game by 32. I needed 30 plus points from Jalen. I needed 25 points from Dante DiVincenzo. And they sat the bench. I think they said the starters for both teams played about 28 minutes for the total game, completely screwing my parlay and costing me money. So just disgraceful. I'm hoping that back in the Garden, the Knicks can put up better numbers in Game 5. But that, Brian, that's my beef of the week.
That's your beef, is just the fact that you bet on a bad team.
Yes. Well, not a bad team, just a team that had a very bad day.
Okay. I don't have a beef. That's my beef. I literally cannot. I had a very fun week.
I'm going to need to hydrate over that. You talk
Go
about
for it.
your week.
Listen, I listen. I went to. I saw Social Distortion, one of my top two bands of all time.
Right.
I saw Social Distortion Wednesday night. I saw a Yankee game with a coworker, her daughter, Mrs. Bryan, as the foursome. I mean, it was just a splendid time. And then I went to a good concert. Saw some friends that I haven't seen in a while. Good concert. I have no complaints this week.
Okay.
Went out for dinner a few times. I wish I did, but I'd be manufacturing and just lying. Can I see that water hydration delivery system again?
Sure. You want me to take another sip real quick? Hold on. Oh.
That is just insane. What is that? A 5 gallon?
I think roughly 5 gallons of water. That's the Brewmate 5000. Holds a lot of liquid, Brian. You know, it's people think it's easy coming on and talking for a couple of hours. It's not.
Now, will you be making? Are you supposed to be making beer out of in that thing?
No. It's a cooler. Like you could put anything you want to keep cold in here and then dispense it. So I don't know why it's
All
called
right.
Brewmate, because you don't brew in it.
Yeah, I thought that's based on the title. I thought there was something brewing. Now is
No, go ahead. Ask your question.
no. You have the floor, champ. You have the floor.
So what I'm going to see, I'm having a structural engineer come out this week. I need to check the tensile strength of the roof over my office here, because I feel like I just need to get a water tank installed on the roof, and maybe just drill down through the ceiling and just have like a little spigot that drops down here. Because I don't know how I can find a bigger water receptacle than what I brought to the table tonight.
Challenge has been laid, and I have accepted it. I will do the work.
Right.
I have to top that somehow. My lady's gonna fucking kill me. She's just gonna kill me on this. Geez.
So speaking of beef, Brian,
yes. Yeah.
Can we talk about the ongoing beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar? Because
Sure.
it's been all over my TikTok feed, all over my Instagram feed, and it's, you know, I have not been this entertained by something where I have no idea what's going on since I watched like the latest Wes Anderson film. It's just. I find it enjoyable, but I had to Google what the issue is. And even after reading through the timeline of the Drake Kendrick beef, I'm not exactly sure why they're upset with each other. All I know is that they started recording diss tracks against each other back like in March. And like Drake's diss tracks were along the lines of, Kendrick, you're short, because I think he's only like 5'7", 5'8". You're short. You're not as great a rapper as you think you are. Your bars are weak. That kind of stuff. Whereas, Kendrick came back with like, you're a pedophile. You're a groomer. You hid your son from the world until media made you bring him out. You probably have other children out there, but just, talking to his son, like, I'm sorry your father is such a failure. I'm sorry he's not someone you can look up to. Like, just absolutely brutal. And then what I can't get out of my head, Brian, are you familiar with BBL Drizzy?
I was not familiar with BBL Drizzy.
So,
are you familiar with BBL Drizzy?
I am on BBL Drizzy Talk, and it is freaking entertaining. So apparently there is a producer, Metro Boomin, who was also dissed by Drake in one of these diss tracks, and he says something along the lines of, Metro, why don't you go record some drums or something? So Metro took this track that came out from this other rapper. It came out, I guess, in April, where it talks about, Drake having a Brazilian butt lift. And then he added some drums to it and gave it out free to the public and said, rap over this beat, and whoever raps the best, I will give you a free beat to use, which, normally his time is very expensive, but he's going to give it away for free. But it's just like, oh yeah. I mean, come on, that's just an earworm right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on,
Okay.
Brian. Get that flow.
BBL. Yeah. Now, Ron, he drinks all the water every day. No. Scratch that. Let's do it again. Take it from the top. Now, John drinks all the water. His wife doesn't know what to do. Ron likes to drink the water. His cats like to take the poo. Water in the PA. Ron drinks water. Sorry about that.
So anyway, now we have country BBL Drizzy. We have emo BBL Drizzy. We have people playing saxophone over BBL Drizzy. We have drums. We have African drums. We have Indian drums. Like this has taken off to the point where everyone is like, Drake can go nowhere on this planet where BBL Drizzy is not being played. And I just find it fascinating. And I feel maybe we need to start a beef with somebody, because I feel that's how you get traction and free publicity these days. So
I believe you just created a beef with the New York Knicks.
Maybe I did. Maybe that takes us to the promised land, Brian.
I mean, let's be brutally honest. We do have a shared note on our phones of sports figures who have how do I put this politely? Harmed our stacks.
Yeah.
Is that the right phrase? That have damaged my bills. Yeah. So if
who's
you know
on our list so far? Hold on. Let's
can pull this
here. Marcus Atruman, back on May 3rd, got pulled after giving up 3 hits. We needed over 3.5 to win that 3-leg parlay. Nikola Josic failed by 1 assist on a plus 692 4-leg. That hurt.
Yep. Joel Embiid never goes for rebounds.
Does not go for rebounds.
Alexis McAllister, I believe this is English Premier League. He's fucking afraid of a soccer ball. I love your notes.
Clearly. But as those of you in the higher tier Patreon know, silver or higher, we do provide some of our bets and parlays. Yesterday, great day for those of you in the Patreon silver level or higher, as we hit on a 6-leg soccer parlay and a 4-leg NBA parlay with the Celtics. We were up 6.5 units for the day. We did the work, and you guys cashed in on that. But we don't feel that there are enough people playing in the Patreon at the silver level of higher. So if you want, betting locks of the day, you can join. We're going to give you a free one right now. Normally we do NFL locks of the week, but this is just going to be a regular lock of the week.
Locks.
All right. And it is for the late game tonight, NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. It is the Oilers against the Canucks in Edmonton. It's a 9:30 puck drop. So if you would like to make some money, here's the parlay for you. We've got Vancouver Canucks plus 1.5. Brian, Vancouver has dominated the Oilers all season, going 6-1 and only losing the last game 2 of the playoffs in overtime by a goal. I think that plus 1.5 is a giveaway. First period, over 1.5 goals. Every game they played -1, they have scored 2 to 4 goals. And then for total goals, over 5.5 goals. And again, in all of their games except for 1, they have scored 6 or more. So this was clocking in at plus 290 on DraftKings, but play on whatever wagering app you want. Use the code Ron's Balls. See if it gets anywhere. You know, it trends a lot, and you never know when people might be using it out there.
I believe that it gets you a 25% bonus boost over on Tipico Gambling, straight out of Costa Rica. It's an app that sometimes is allowed in the Apple App Store if you look for it. Tipico Gambling.
I'm actually a little surprised that your beef of the week was not the fact that DraftKings does not always let you tail my bets exactly the way they should.
Ron, it let me tail 4 of those bets earlier today, and I lost all 4 of them. So I can't really complain. In hindsight, maybe they're saving me some money.
Brian, can we talk about your negativity? Because as we move forward through life, Brian, it's very important to put positive energy out into the universe. And by you talking about losses rather than wins, it's really taking the wrong mindset. Brian, are you willing to do the work?
I am.
All right, and
I,
are you willing to be positive and throw that stinking thinking out of there?
I will be so positive.
All right.
If just to give you an idea how positive I am, is that DraftKings did not allow me to bet all 3 legs of that parlay you put up, so I took the 2 legs that it would allow me. DraftKings did allow me the Vancouver plus 1.5, and it did allow me with the first period goal line. So let's see where we go. I'm willing to
Listen,
take that. I may not be.
all
I may
right.
not get the gigantic pot, slice that you're going to get, but I'm going to get some crumbles, and I will like it.
All right, very nice. Let's get to our stories of the week, Brian. As many people know, these are the stories that we grab, we coddle close to our bosom, we nurture them, we suckle them, and we make sure that we talk about them on the podcast. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
Oh, okay. My story of the week takes us down to Howard University, one of my favorite HBCUs, where earlier this week, I believe it was actually yesterday, there was a graduation ceremony for their College of Nursing and Allied Health Sciences. Got shut down in the middle of the ceremony, and there is a lot of controversy that has come out as a result of this. So, a school within Howard University, their nursing school, were holding their graduation. What happened was that there were more people that showed up than there were seats in the auditorium, causing family members of graduates to not be able to enter the auditorium to watch the ceremony. The school was not prepared for this type of attendance. And the family members that were not allowed to see their relatives graduate. Apparently, there started to become some unruly family members who obviously were furious at that. They had gone to the effort of coming to the graduation. Not they started to pound on doors. A window was smashed in the middle of the ceremony. The school chancellor stood up, walked into the middle of the ceremony, stopped it right there, and basically issued a statement to a chorus of boos that said, because of the size of the room and because our relatives sometimes do not know how to act, the fire department is now here to shut us down. And suddenly, the ceremony came to a immediate halt, and the auditorium was evacuated. However, as time started to pass, the fire department, I believe this was Washington, D.C., yes. So D.C.'s fire and EMS immediately issued a statement saying that they did not shut down the event. And at 6:42, they did respond to Crampton Auditorium for a medical local at the request of campus police, and a patient was evaluated, refused transport, and DC Fire and EMS departed. But they say they had no steps in shutting it down. So Howard University fucking up the graduation of their nursing and allied studies, I guess it was. And it's just, and here's the moment when you realize that Howard University is the one that fucked up here, is the fact that they did not limit the number of attendees per graduate. Now, even when I graduated elementary school, I think my parents were given 3 tickets, so that they could attend with another family member. Or friend. Even in my graduation at elementary school, there was some type of controls on attendance. Here at Howard University's nursing school, they just said, open to the public, anybody can attend, and then picked a small auditorium. This was chaos, and I'm already hearing. You know what? This actually is one of my beefs. Now that I think about it,
Okay.
if we can go back, because now I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent.
You?
The number of people who are complaining right now that their college graduations are their commencement ceremonies are being canceled because of administration fears of demonstrations and interruptions by pro-Palestinian protesters. And one of their, poor me is, I didn't get to walk 4 years ago during COVID when I graduated high school, and now I'm not going to get to walk, but college. And no offense, who gives a shit? And I say that with the most respect. The important part is not standing there in some stupid gown with a fucking tassel dangling in front of your face over here. The important part is the degree. It is the accomplishment of earning that certificate that states that you have earned this degree from this university. It is not some stupid little ceremony that people are, assigning some type of emotional value to.
I mean, I could picture in September or October when they haven't found work yet, and it's getting about time to make that first student loan payment. They'll be like, "Remember when the worst problem in my life was I didn't get to walk my college graduation?"
Of course, who gives you? It's such a stupid. I mean, think about it. They graduated high school, and the world moved on. They moved on. The very fact of like, oh, let's have the ceremony anyway, because I deserve to stand up in my gown and throw my little fucking hat up in the air. No, no, fuck that.
Not on your watch.
Did you go to your college graduation?
I did, yes.
What was it like? Because
important.
I never went to mine.
Again, I think we talked about this a few weeks back, but it was, we went to the Knickerbocker Arena. There was a set number of tickets, and like if you needed more tickets, the school was like, well, then you need to ask your friends if they're not using all yours. And again, to your point, I think it was more for my parents than anything else. They attended, and it was, because there were so many people, it was just a case of, all right, who's in the School of Fine Arts here? All right, stand up. All right, congratulations, you've all graduated. Not going up on stage, not collecting a diploma. Like, at the end, flip your tassel over to the other side, go have lunch, and we'll mail you your diploma in 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Kind of anticlimactic. I mean, you got these people who are fucking boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I'm not going to get to have my graduation. You're not going to care 10 years ago from now.
Yeah.
You're not going to care 5 years from now. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. So, all right. Ron, what's your story of the week?
So my story, Brian, this is something that rears its ugly head every now and then. What is the one food item that I think is used just way too often out there, Brian?
I'm going to say live shark meat.
No, I'm okay with that actually. It's pickles, Brian. Too many damn pickles showing up in places where they shouldn't. So this was a TikTok that made the rounds this past week from a user at Mississippi Meemaw, which should have clued you in. So this was she went to a Sonic drive-in to order a secret menu item that her daughter had told her existed. She pulls up to a drive-through window, Brian, and orders a large Dr. Pepper with pickles. And rather than the drive-through worker recoiling in disgust, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's going to show up as add cherries on your receipt, but we're going to put pickles in there for you." And so, sure enough, she goes around, and it is a large Dr. Pepper with ice and slices of pickles at the top. Apparently, some people call it a Dr. Pepper pucker. People like the tang of the pickle with the Dr. Pepper.
Now, I'm not sure that you know this. Are they putting pickle juice in it, or is it just slices of pickle and with whatever liquid is sticking to the outer rim of it?
Apparently, just whatever is sticking to the outer rim.
That's disgusting. I will say this.
Yes.
I will say this. I've done pickleback shots.
Yes.
Where you do a shot of whiskey and then you chase it with a shot of pickle juice.
Right.
Thought it was going to be utterly disgusting. I will say, I know you're going to get violently angry at me now. I was expecting it to be disgusting, and it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad.
I mean, listen, we can't be friends anymore. We might not be able to do the podcast anymore, but you're more than entitled to your opinion, Brian. Moving on. Brian, have you gone down to see the portal, the New York City to Dublin portal that is out right
No.
now? So I'm
Where
not
is
even
it?
sure. This is
Keep going. Keep
apparently
going.
it's in the Flatiron district, which
I
I'm
know
not
exactly where that is.
I'm not a city guy like you are or were, but apparently there is an art exchange called the Portal. Again, it's in the Flatiron district. We have a photo of it here. Looks like the portal from Stargate. And apparently it
Sure.
is a 24/7 live video stream between Dublin, Ireland, and New York City. And because we cannot have nice things, Brian, it has already caused chaos with people on Ireland's side flashing everything from their bare asses to swastikas and a photo of the Twin Towers in flames on 9/11.
All right. Listen, we all know how I feel about 9/11. It was a day that changed my DNA as a human being. But you got to give it up to the people of Dublin. You have to acknowledge just the stone cold nature of holding up
Oh
your
yeah.
phone to the camera, hold with a picture of the World Trade Center on fire. Gee, I mean, listen, that type of dark humor, I am a huge fan of, and kudos to whoever had the idea on that. That's solid. That is solid. I may swing by there later today.
I would be curious to see how you like it. The funny thing is, as in interviewing some of the New Yorkers about their thoughts on it, they actually have felt that the people from Ireland, they expected much worse from them.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, like I'm going to get up there. I might bring a potato and just throw the potato at
that
the
has been kind
portal.
of the ongoing joke, is to remind them of their famine. I think you need to do something more. I think you need to hold up, Brian. Why wouldn't you hold up the sticker so that people in Dublin know that they need to go to ronandbrianpodcast.com to subscribe to do the work, Brian? You got to go up to the portal and you got to say,
Do the work.
Peaky Blinders wants you to do the work. Is
Hey,
that
I have a
Ireland or
better
is that
idea.
Britain?
That's still written. What if I show up there wearing my Queen Elizabeth face mask
I like
and
that.
just
I
give
like
them
that.
a reminder of what the British government did to Northern Ireland and how we still haven't forgotten about it? Or what about? I'm not. First off, I'm not
There you go.
pro
Good
snakes.
suggestion from Johanna. Throw snakes.
Well, I like that one. I'm not going to make any IRA jokes. I know. I know Billy was in the comments there making some suggestion that I make an IRA joke. I'm not looking to get blown up.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, not at all. I mean, why would people of Dublin blow people up? Oh, that's Billy's
They
definition
did
of
the
work.
work.
That's
They did the
that's
work.
kind of sad. So apparently, New York and Dublin's portals are the third and fourth exhibits to be set up. The first matching pair went live in May 2021, connecting the European cities of Vilnius, Lithuania, and Lublin, Poland. The Manhattan portal is scheduled to remain in place until November. What are the odds that this gets taken down early?
Oh, I sure hope so. I mean, I saw that there's an article that a woman was actually arrested for on the Irish side for grinding up against the installation.
And apparently she did it for like 20 minutes, like literally. So, because what's interesting is on the New York side, it looks like there's stanchions around it. Like it looks like not just anyone can walk up to the portal.
Mhm.
Whereas over in Dublin, it looks like you literally can walk out of a bar and just walk right up to the portal.
You gotta love that. You gotta love it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go swing by there this week. I'm gonna go
I'm
swing by there
excited.
this week.
I think you should live stream it
What's the
on
time
the
difference? What's the time difference
what is it,
between here and there?
5 hours, 6 hours?
So if I show up just after work, they'll be properly drunk by the time I get there.
I mean, I think if you show up on
11
the way to
o'clock on a
work,
Monday.
they'll be
On the
properly
way to
drunk when you
work. Ron, that's insensitive. It's
Is that wrong?
insensitive, Ron. Yeah,
Do I
maybe
need?
I'll.
Do I need?
Yeah. How does this one sound? How about I go over there and I've got a half a pint of Guinness, and I hold up a pint of Bailey's, and I drop the Bailey's into the pint, and then I just chug it down. I'm like, Irish car bomb, oi, oi, oi.
Maybe how about you bring like a very poorly poured pint of Guinness, where it's like a quarter beer and the rest is just foam. I think that would trigger the entire country.
They'd riot. They would literally riot. Yeah, that would not be good. Not good at all. But I'm going to swing by there just to report back.
So Brian, can I share? This was almost my story of the week.
Really?
Just, pickles just makes me so just enrages me so much. But this was a very close second. We're going down to Kentucky, one of our favorite countries, one of our top 50 in the United States, without a doubt. So Daniel Ratliff, age 43, was passed out behind
Harry
the wheel
Potter?
of his car. David Ratliff, not Ratcliffe. I can understand your confusion, except when I show his mugshot here. So he was passed out in his car in the parking lot of a video store in Manchester, which is about 100 miles south of Lexington. When police arrived at the scene and asked him for his ID, he actually ended up pulling out a baggie full of meth, pills, and a large sum of U.S. currency. He had about $3,000 in cash, several fentanyl pills, and 9 grams of meth. He was arrested on charges of trafficking in a controlled substance and public intoxication.
Does it look like his head's abnormally small?
It's tough to say. I do love how in this sheriff's office they have painted the lines for height on the wall rather than get like
they painted their logo on it. They didn't even bother putting up. They didn't even bother putting up a sign. They just hired some kid from the local high school to come down, probably after arresting him for possession of fentanyl, possession of crystal meth, maybe from $3,000 in cash. And they said to the teenager, like, "Hey, listen, we'll let you walk, but you got to paint our logo up on the wall, you little shit."
Now, Brian, you often talk about what a dangerous area Philadelphia is, but over this past week, a man was stabbed to death during a fight over beer outside of a Queens bodega, and a worker at the store was taken into police custody. Brian, defend your former city.
Oh, okay. This is wild. And I'm actually, when I first heard about this story, I thought to myself, wait a second, this is exactly why I had to leave New York City. But then as the story starts to come out, you realize this is actually what I have been calling for the past maybe 2 years. So this is literally a bodega that's about 4 blocks away from where my old apartment was. Used to walk by it all the time when taking walks inside of my neighborhood there in Regal Park, Queens. So walking into it. So apparently one early morning, that's code. When you watch the morning news, it's code for this happened in the fucking middle of the night when nobody should be awake. They'll just call it the early morning. They don't say 3 a.m. They don't say at 3:45 this drunken man stumbled into a store. No, they don't say that. They just go in the early morning hours of Tuesday. Anyway, so to make a long story short, so apparently the news says, hey, this guy got stabbed inside of a bodega or just outside of a bodega in Regal Park, Queens. I'm like, oh my God, great. I'm so glad I moved out of here. That neighborhood's gone to shit. So glad it was time for me to leave. What used to be a very, safe neighborhood is now, people are getting stabbed to death there. Then as the story starts to come out, you realize, no, this is great. Apparently the quote unquote victim was shoplifting inside the store, allegedly. He's not going to sue me, so why am I even throwing up the air sign? He was shoplifting. So this guy's shoplifting, and the bodega worker goes to stop this man from stealing. A scuffle breaks out, and the bodega employee stabs this guy and he bleeds out to death. Hello. This is exactly the type of behavior we need in New York City. You've got to let these shoplifters know that there is a potential price that they're going to pay if they shoplift in New York City, and that might be their life. Because we know that the woke prosecutors and the left-leaning court system are not going to punish these people properly. However, if we empower our bodega employees and other staff members to stab shoplifters and it expands into other forms of retail, then maybe we can get control of these streets back. That's my take.
So, in order of importance, we should arm teachers. We should arm bodega employees, and then we should arm like Target cashiers.
And we should put video cameras on every police officer in a way that they cannot turn it off. And then that video footage should be live streamed.
Oh, I would love that.
The police officers should, if they injure somebody in the act of doing their police job that's not violating a law, like obviously George Floyd, that guy definitely, the police officer, was it Derek Chauvin? That guy belongs to be in prison for the rest of his life, maybe death penalty. Depends how, where you draw the line on that. But if you're just, in the act of just doing your job, who gets to decide if you're doing your job or whether you're committing violating civil liberties? Not me. I don't want a part of that. Maybe I should just shut the fuck up and not partake in this conversation because clearly I'm out of, where I understand what the
out of your element, perhaps.
Yeah, but I do think that if you're working at a bodega in the early morning hours, and you stab somebody to death for trying to steal out of your store, I think you should be given the key to the city. That's
really
that's
the key to the city.
Absolutely. Ticker tape parade, if you ask me. You have to get the word out that it is no longer just open season for stealing in New York City stores. It's the only way I might move back.
Should we allow any bodega member, any bodega worker that kills a shoplifter, should they get 5 minutes in front of the portal to do whatever they want in the Flatiron section of the city?
Personally, I'm going to take it a step further. I think every bodega should have a portal into a Irish corner store, whatever they call it over there, so that we could. How great would that be?
That's genius.
You got some Aki in the Bronx making like a chopped cheese, and then over in Dublin,
sure. Don't forget the Bev. Never.
By the way, I stopped following that guy. I stopped watching his videos. He's off my TikTok algorithm now because it got to the point where the sandwiches that bodega dude was in. He's actually in Red Hook, if I'm not correct.
Yeah.
The stuff that he makes is so unhealthy. It's so disgusting. Like at first it was just like, you make a burger and you just put something like potato chips on it. Right. Next thing you know, he's taking like a honey bun and making a burger with, mozzarella cheese.
Can I get a chopped cheese on blueberry pancakes with some fentanyl pills and Lorna Doone cookies crumbled up? And can I get that the Aki way? Sure. You're not wrong, my friend. You are not wrong.
They became so disgusting.
Sure.
They became so disgusting. They really did.
And what is amazing to me is somehow his sandwiches defy physics because he'll have 18 items on that grill and he'll stack everything up and it'll look like a fucking sandwich from the Dagwood comics. And yes, I just realized I aged myself 40 years with that reference.
Okay, I get the reference.
He still manages to wrap it in foil and condense it down into like a handheld.
Where's he getting this wax paper? That thing is somehow he folds it over. Meanwhile, I just get like a bacon, egg, and cheese, and they need to use 3 pieces of paper to wrap it up. Horseshit. Sure. Oh God, those sandwiches became so disgusting to watch.
Listen, can I get some pork roll, some Captain Crunch cereal, and a fly trap, and put it in between some Little Debbie snack cake? Sure. Sorry. Did I? You okay over there, my friend?
Yeah, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. When you busted out that sure, I was just like,
Sure.
that was so amazing to watch. I
You
should
know
not
the
go
only
there.
thing that's more catchy than that shore?
What?
Uh, uh. Take it to the
Oh
house,
yeah,
Brian.
oh
Take
yeah.
it to the house.
Ron
Uh.
is the king because he knows all the bling and he's got his ladies in a sling. Sorry.
Brian, would you like me to get you the full version of that so maybe you could do a rap to it?
Hell yeah. What are we talking about? Why don't we do it on After Dark tonight?
All right, I'll see how. I don't know if I can get it that quick. Matt's
All
passed
right.
out in the corner.
Okay.
He had a big Aki sandwich. He's totally asleep right now. All right, let's move on. Brian, we used to do, as longtime listeners of the show know, we used to do This Week in Racism for a number of
Yes.
years, and we haven't done it. We retired that segment, but we do sometimes revisit some stories that we covered back in the day when there is some follow up on it. This was one we covered. This was back during the pandemic. It was actually something that came to light during the George Floyd, the aftermath of the George Floyd murder. And this involved students who were at St. Francis High School in Mountain View, California. It was a photo they had actually taken during a sleepover in 2017. Let's pull up that photo right now. We see the three of them with something on their face, which appears to be blackface. Again, picture was taken in 2017. Ended up on social media. Nothing really happened with it then. But in 2020, during the height of the Black Lives Matter protests, this selfie went viral. And two of these three students were kicked out of their elite California Catholic school. They then, in turn, Brian, sued said Catholic school because they were able to prove that what they were wearing was just a green acne face mask. Apparently, in 2018, when they did this, they said they were wearing the treatment in solidarity with a friend suffering from severe acne. Apparently, that was enough to win their lawsuit, and each of them have been awarded $500,000 each to be paid to them by the Catholic school.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have the photo? I mean, are we looking at the photo right now?
We're looking at the photo. So a Santa Clara.
I don't see blackface here. I don't see blackface here.
Well, the students identified only as AH and HH in the lawsuit. They were awarded $500,000 each and will have their $70,000 tuition reimbursed after a Santa Clara County jury agreed this week that the school breached an oral contract and did not give them due process before expelling them back in 2020.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so. The lawsuit had initially sought $20 million. The jury rejected some of the boys' claims, including defamation and violation of free speech. Now, maybe this isn't blackface, but I feel this wasn't done with completely good intentions. Maybe that's just me.
I don't know that. See, Allie's saying that's a claim ask, but you know, it's a claim ask.
So, and it is, I mean, I will say it does now when someone says this dries to like a dark green, you can kind of see it there.
Yeah, to me that is great, but maybe it's just, is it possible that these kids are just, just very strong fans of the New York Jets and they were getting ready for like the home opener? Is that possible? Like, can we consider these possibilities before we just expel them from school?
Is anyone that big a fan of the New York Jets? I guess would be the question.
Jets.
I mean, apart from the fireman guy, like Fireman Joe, what the hell's his name?
Fireman Ed. I thought it was
Fireman Ed.
Yeah.
I think even he gave up on the Jets eventually.
He did give up on him. I think at one point the team started to, actually went so far as to discourage him from doing the chants, and that's when he just kind of said,
"Oh, that's
I don't
right.
I don't know this team anymore." Then they tried to bring him back, and at that point, it was just, this is embarrassment. I actually, to me, I take the approach of this probably, this is my theory. I could be wrong here. These kids probably have done some racist stuff in that school before. So this probably, like the school, like I think you insinuated, but like my gut tells me these kids have done some nasty shit before, got away with it, and then finally the schools is like, all right, this is too much.
Like I feel, and again, it's not appropriate for anyone to stereotype, but I feel
Right.
that if you are, if you're a upper class white male teenager attending a very costly private school,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying you are not unfamiliar with the
Racist.
hard R.
Yeah. Yes.
Just going to throw that out there.
And
Brian,
if you're going to make a transition from the hard R and then you're going to show the picture of the next person we're about to speak about, then touche to you, my friend, because kudos are in order. If you can if you can make that transition from saying hard R and then going to the next story, you do it, Ron.
So, Brian, I've asked you to defend New York. I feel you did so fairly well. Now we are going to your newly adopted state of New Jersey, where a
My home.
56-year-old
My
New
home.
Jersey school board president told a civil sexual abuse trial jury Wednesday that he met 4 of his 6, quote, religious wives when they were 18, as he denied accusations that he groomed one whom he taught in middle school. Brian, this is Camden School Advisory Board President Wasim Muhammad. He talked about his multiple marital relationships on the stand, which he admitted is, quote, an exception and not the rule, and very controversial. A 45-year-old woman is suing Muhammad, who is a minister and community activist in the Garden State City, for allegedly sexually abusing her when she was a minor. The alleged abuse began when he was her 7th grade social studies middle school teacher in 1994 and carried on for multiple years. The 2021 lawsuit accuses Muhammad, a father of 17, of dragging his ex-student to a porn theater where he made her have sex with a stranger as he creepily watched after she returned to Camden following a few years out of state.
Yeah, William makes a good point here. If anybody's claiming this guy, I'm going to say it's you, because you're closer to Camden than I am. We might be
Real.
geographically inside the same state, but he is, for the record, a completely different state. No, we're going proximity here. I think you, Ron, have to defend your politician here. Philly, what do you have to say?
Well, I think it's, I know you have mentioned that you're fine with multiple wives and this kind of treatment. We know your thoughts on women, but I find this type of behavior to be utterly unacceptable.
Listen, I listen. I think he's probably guilty and deserves some jail sentence.
Yeah, and again, this is a civil trial, so he would just be responsible for a financial payment. I don't believe there is any jail time, but yeah, just a very unfortunate situation to say the least.
How much money are they going after him for? He's a Camden politician. There's no money in politics. We know this.
It doesn't say in the article, but I'll see if I can find that out and get back to you on that.
All right, I like that. I like it. All right, very good, very good, very good, very good.
Very good. Good times. So another story, which I love being on the tip of things. This is why TikTok can never be banned, is because I
love your tip, Ron. I love your tip, Ron.
I saw this on TikTok way before the New York Post talked about it. This is about a billionaire's wife who deleted her Instagram account after she tried to bully a woman with the same last name to get her Instagram handle. So her name is Catherine Asplund, formerly a last name of Driscoll. She married one of the kids who is oh my god, this name just aggravates the living fucking hell out of me. She married Cabot Asplund. Cabot Asplund.
He's used a hard R a couple times in his life. We know this.
The
This
Asplund
kid's a
family,
billionaire.
you may
Yes.
have seen their orange trucks around. They do the tree removal and trimming and everything else. Apparently, the company, founded by one individual, I didn't realize it was a private company, worth $6 billion. Apparently, the new Mrs. Asplund reached out to another Catherine Asplund, who has the actual Catherine Asplund name on Instagram, saying, quote, "Hi, just wondering if I could purchase your username from you. Just got married and this is my new name." The woman responded, I don't want to sell it. I hear that will get you kicked off of Instagram. And so the woman just kept getting more and more aggressive. And so I think this other Catherine Asplund is in Australia, I want to say, started posting these messages. So then, God bless the internet.
Love it.
Hundreds of copycat Catherine Asplund accounts started showing up on
Yes.
Instagram.
Underscore Catherine Asplund, Catherine underscore Asplund, Catherine hyphen Asplund, Catherine Asplund 0. Like, it just every possible variation of this girl's name is now already taken and squatted. Is that cyber squatting? Is that the term for it?
And not
She's
only
fucked.
that, people on the internet also dug up an old TikTok post from her where she mocked wives-to-be who were overly excited to change their social media usernames to their new married names.
Ooh.
I guess when you're marrying into $6 billion, it's a little bit different. But the entitlement.
Well, I think it's the fact of, first off, if this is just, so the person who had the account, she kind of shifts her story. If you watch the back and forth, the exchange she has,
right,
whether she says, "This is actually my name, I am Catherine Asplund," or whether she says, "Hey, listen, this is just a fake account I created years ago. I don't want anything associated with my name. I just post, stories that disappear after 24 hours for my friends to see. It's kind of like a very small account that I have." And then obviously the soon to be Catherine Asplund she just shits the bed with the level of privilege that she puts out there. It's just wild. But the question really, truly is just, who out there has created Ron and Brian podcast and other variations of Ron and Brian, preventing us. If you want to go back and look at the email I wrote to Ron Howard and Brian Glazier,
Brian Glazier, yes.
Fuck the two of them. When we started looking to do this, and listen, ronandbrian.com is out there. These two guys are just hoarding the site and not giving it up.
They're bastards. They're bastards. Before we run out of time here, we did want to do one of our more popular segments, Brian, but the drag queens are the problem. That is the what we hear from the right, from the GOP. Mm-hmm. And one of these days, Brian, we are going to find a drag queen that is the problem. So let's see if it is this first story. And oh no, Brian, this is another teacher. This time a teacher from the United Kingdom. So she had a baby with an underage student who she had sex with dozens of times while out on bail for sex with another 15-year-old boy. This is Manchester math teacher Rebecca Joins. She groomed the first boy by taking him shopping for a Gucci belt worth the equivalent of around $430. She then drove him back to her apartment for unprotected sex, laughing when he told her he was too young even to drive. She said, "Oh, shut up. Stop saying that." It's my best Manchester accent I can do.
You like it? We like it.
The pupil, identified only as Boy A, told cops he stayed the night after twice having sex with the teacher, who allegedly told him while getting undressed that, quote, "no one had better find out." Boy A told police he never expected them to have sex, quote, "but anyone in my position when you are my age, if you ever see her, she is good looking." Very honest on the kid's part.
Really? Shouldn't they have spoken to his parents who acknowledged that their minor son is the victim of a rape?
Yeah, so she was arrested, then released on bail on orders not to have unsupervised contact with anyone under the age of 18. She was suspended from school and eventually fired, but she soon started flirting with another pupil who sent her Snapchat messages about the initial arrest, asking her to, quote, "get your tits out." She said not tonight, but then send a picture of her behind. The second accuser, Boy B, told police, as a young lad, quote, as a young lad, I thought I was in there. I thought she liked me. She had sent me pictures of her body. So I asked if it would progress. He was invited to her home. And then, obviously they had sex. Apparently happened about 30 times. And she eventually had his baby.
You said 30?
About 30 times, yes.
Jesus. Jeez. Boy, she really was busy out there. Now, was she married? What's going on here?
I don't believe so. It doesn't say that she was married, no boyfriend, nothing like that. Just a case of a woman who really likes having sex with underage boys.
So you're saying, Ron, you don't stand a shot?
I mean, I just feel like there's a little mental health situation going on there.
Oh, wow. That's actually quite outrageous.
One more story on but the drag queens are the problem. This has to be a drag queen. And no, I am sorry, Brian. This is a pastor from a church in Long Island. This is preacher Clinton Bucknor, age 71, allegedly molested a 15-year-old girl in the basement of the Huntington Seventh-day Adventist Church in Huntington Station in March. He is also accused of sending an inappropriate text message and photo to the alleged victim. The claims came to light after the girl's sister notified police. He was arrested early Thursday morning and charged with criminal solicitation, sexual abuse, and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. He is set to be arraigned, and we'll see how that case continues.
Maybe in prison he'll be able to get some of the sleep that he so desperately needs. Like maybe like a little cucumber mask over the eyelid. I mean, the bags that this guy is carrying with him, maybe he shouldn't have to walk around like that. That's all I'm saying.
I understand. Well, Brian, another fantastic episode. It's hard to believe that over an hour has flown by already. This is the time where we remind people that for all things Ron and Brian, you go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. As Brian mentioned, unfortunately, we don't own ronandbrian.com because of those bastards, Ron Howard and Brian Glazer, Hollywood bigwigs. But if you go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, we've got our web store. We've got our About Us section. You can contact us through there. There are links to all of our social media pages. And you can also become a Patreon subscriber by clicking in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron. Joining at the $5 level, the entry level, gets you a bunch of swag. It gets you the audio of our After Dark, which we'll do at 9:30 tonight. But at the $10 level, folks, that's really where it starts to kick in. That's when you get access to the live broadcast of After Dark. It's behind the paywall. The public doesn't get to see it. Once a month at the last Sunday, we have all of our subscribers on to join us for our pajama party. And again, at the silver level or higher, that's when you get to see our various gambling picks that we make. We gave you a free one earlier tonight. As a reminder, you got 27 minutes until the puck drop. Vancouver Canucks plus 1.5, first period over 1.5 goals, and total goals over 5.5. Bet with your head. Not over it. Brian, what can we expect on After Dark tonight?
Okay, let me look at some of the stories that we've got lined up. We've got a tennis player who has retired to pursue a lingerie modeling career, a castration club's alleged ringleader who made testicle salad, a couple who have sex on a British Airways flight, and quite a bit more. And if you think we're going to go an episode of After Dark without talking about an OnlyFans star, you are wrong. Sorry.
And maybe I'll show off the belt tonight. I haven't flaunted the fact that I am champion. I haven't flaunted the fact that I have 51% ownership. But the title belt here proves it.
Listen, every week that goes by is just 1 week that I am closer to reclaiming that belt. I hope you are sleeping with it and getting your money's worth because your time with it is limited.
I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I lean my chair back when I take my 10-minute power nap in the afternoon and I just drape the belt across my chest because it's like one of those weighted blankets, Brian. It's comforting. It's like a hug coming to me from the podcast and all of our listeners.
Enjoy it while you can because it's gone.
That's how life is, Brian. All you can do is enjoy it for as much as you can. Just like this podcast, you enjoy it for as long as we go. Whether it's an hour, whether it's an hour 5, an hour 10, an hour 15. But you can enjoy it even more if you're a Patreon subscriber, because in 25 minutes, we're going to do the After Dark like Brian was talking about. Brian, anything additional before we wrap up episode 303?
Nothing. This has been good. Let's get ready and let's start preparing for After Dark.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Podcast followers, we will see you next Sunday night. After Dark, Patreon subscribers, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again next week.